Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to another video. For those of you that are new to the channel or don't know who I am, my name is Alex. I am a teacher. I do other things like martial arts and fitness videos on this channel also, but this video is specifically about teaching. Now, recently I have moved out to the UAE. About a week ago I flew to Dubai to become a new teacher. Now I'm not going to be staying in Dubai. My school isn't actually in Dubai. It is in a place called Al Ain, which is in Abu Dhabi. But due to COVID restrictions, I have had to stay in Dubai for quarantine purposes before I can then move over to where I will be teaching. And the purpose of this video really is to talk a little bit about the process of moving over to Dubai into the UAE, and specifically what I have had to do in my first week as a teacher here in the UAE. So, if this video proves interesting or helpful, or you want to know anything else, consider subscribing, hit the like button, and if you want to know anything about the process, about teaching over here, comment down below. Right guys, let's get into the video. Okay, so I am going to briefly talk about the process of flying through the airport because it was slightly different, although I'll be honest, I was expecting it to be much more different and contrasting to when I last flew pre-COVID. The biggest things were you needed to get a PCR test before you fly, and they checked that at both airports. I wasn't able to have a proper goodbye with my parents because the airports were quite restrictive on who they allowed in the terminal. Normally I'd go in and get a coffee, have my hugs and kisses and say goodbye to everybody, but my parents literally had to drop me off outside the terminal. We had a hug, we had a quick kiss, and they wished me luck, and then I went in to fly. So that was a bit of a shame. And obviously I had to wear a face mask throughout the entire proceeding. And here in the UAE, unlike in different parts of the world, you've got to wear a face mask everywhere unless you are eating or drinking or you are in like your private residency. So here in my hotel room, I don't need to wear one, but as soon as I leave my hotel door, I need one on until I come back or I sit down for food. Process of dropping my bags off, going through security, waiting at the check-in gate, and getting on the plane itself was really smooth. And if anything, the airport, considering I flew from Heathrow, which is probably the UK's busiest airport, I would think, it was really smooth. There weren't that many travellers or passengers in the airport, so it didn't have that hustle and bustle that the airport normally does, which did mean that things were quite smooth. When I landed in Dubai, I was quite fortunate that other people from my school were also at the airport, some of whom flew in on the same flight as me, and we got to introduce ourselves, say hello to one another, etc. And then we were taken to our hotel. Now, my situation is a little bit different to other people's because my school isn't actually in Dubai. My school is in Al Ain, which is in Abu Dhabi. And so I have isolated here in Dubai. So this has kind of been like a 12 days short, dare I say it, holiday quarantine trip before I finally move on to where I will be teaching. So my process this week has been a bit different to other people. I do want to add a quick note. Before I left the airport, and your school, if you get a job and you come over here, will probably advise you to do the same thing, I bought a SIM card for my phone so that I can use my phone straight away as soon as I leave the airport, really. The process was really simple, so much more simple than it is in the UK. Basically, I went with Virgin. I personally would recommend Virgin, although there are other companies out here that offer similar packages. You walk in, they were waiting, they knew that we were coming. And there was basically a list of packages that you could go for that offered a variety of like minutes and data, etc. And you just pick and chose whichever one you wanted. If you wanted to, you could say, well, I don't really call that much, so I don't really need that many minutes, but I do loads of texting and I use loads of data. And they get you a cost. Now, if you're coming out here and you want one for a holiday, let's say you come out for a month, you can get a month-long one, which is a set cost. But because I'm going to be teaching in the UAE, the year-long packages are the best. So I paid for an entire year, and it worked out at about £300 for the entire year. I'm paid up now, and the great thing is the lady said at the checkout, the data will roll over, which again doesn't tend to happen in the UK. So if I still have extra data left at the end of the month, that gets added on to my next month. So the data is accumulated up, which is great. So this really leads me on to what I have done in my first week of being here in Dubai. Now, I would like to think what I've got up to, both in terms of going out and socialising as well as official things for the school, would be similar to if I were to already be at my school or if I were to be in a school in Dubai. So I'm going to break down first of all the things I've had to do for the school, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've done socially and sort of being a tourist here. Okay, so in no particular order, one of the things I've done most recently was I started the process of doing my medical and also applying for my Emirates ID. Now, when you come out here to teach, and actually, in actual fact, I think for any working out here, if you were to work out here in the UAE, you need to get a medical. Basically, they take a vial of blood and they also do a scan, an x-ray of your chest, and this is to check for tuberculosis, and this is also to check for HIV, because you unfortunately cannot be employed out here if you have either of those conditions. So they do that. They also go through various bits of paperwork in order for you to get your Emirates ID, and you need your ID for lots of official things like setting up of Wi-Fi, etc. You can't do this process unless you've got an e-visa, and the e-visa is simply a working visa. Because of how far along in the process I am, I got my e-visa before I even flew out here, and that's basically a visa to state that the emirate that you're in my case it would be Abu Dhabi, is happy for you to work in the UAE. Another thing I've done is set up my banking. Now, you need to have a bank account over here, a local bank account in the UAE, because schools out here will not send money to an international account. So you do need to set one up. The process is really simple. In my situation, my school organised for 2 representatives of different banks to come to the hotel. They then went through the key benefits that being a part of their bank is, I suppose. It was a little bit salesman-like, but it's kind of what you can expect. They're trying to encourage you to sign with them, not sort of their rival, so to speak. So yeah, they came over, they went through the different packages, they spoke about the benefits of being with them, they showed me all the different cards I could get or savings accounts, and then you sign up. And again, it's a very simple process. All they need are things like your passport numbers, your contact details, etc. So I set that up, and now once that comes through, it means I can start using an Emirates card rather than using a British card for all my payments, and I can give my details to the school so that once the academic year starts, I can get paid. I have also accepted a furniture loan. Now, I will state at this point that schools will organise, different schools will organise their staff accommodation differently. So I can't guarantee that what I'm about to tell you is going to be the same for you. But essentially, what my school offers is they offer 2 options, and this is the same for most schools, to be honest. They either offer you a set fee, a set amount that they will then give you, and you can then choose to use that cost to go and find your own apartment or your own villa, or they will provide you with company accommodation. Now, depending on your situation, I'm out here by myself, for instance, so I am entitled to a 1-bedroom apartment. But if you come out here with a partner or you come out here with your family, you will be offered different things depending on the space that you need. That aside, the furniture allowance or the furniture loan is basically a check that the school offer you. I will need to repay it back, but it will be taken out of my wage across the year, which is really quite good value, to be honest. And it gives me a lump sum of money at the beginning of the year right now to help pay for things like furniture. So my apartment has no furniture in it, I will need to furnish it, so it gives me a little bit of cash before I start work, so that I can get all of the furniture that I require to move in and live happily, basically. Throughout this whole process, there is communication quite frequently between the school and myself, because everything that I have gone through here, the medical, me getting my visa, getting my passport stamped, all those things, the bank details, they all need to be stored on record at the school. So every time you complete something, you send the details over to your HR department and they keep it on record, and that way everything is really smooth, and it means the transition into school life and into normal life here in the UAE can occur smoothly. So everything that I've just spoken about, all of those details I've sent on over. So that leads me on to sort of my more relaxed social side of moving over and the first week I've had here. Now, I've been quite fortunate that I already know a couple of people out here in the UAE, and so I've messaged a couple of them, and one of the chaps that I've messaged, we've gone out for a couple of beers, we've gone out for some drinks, we've gone out for some food. He's introduced me to a load of his friends, and so, for instance, I went on a brunch earlier in the week, and that was set up through him. Now, I just want to add that you don't need to know anyone out here. There are probably loads of people out here that don't know anybody, and they're just kind of going with it. For instance, in my hotel, there are hundreds of teachers, a lot of whom will be of varying ages. There are families here. There are people of my age in their 20s. There are people in their 30s here. You just have to try your best to go along with the process, introduce yourself to people. You're kind of all thrown in the same bubble anyway, so even just sitting by the pool, I've had people come up to me, ask me where I'm going to be working. I've done the same thing to other people. So there really is so many opportunities to meet people. And if nothing else, if you're still worried, there are Facebook groups, there are pages online, help groups, etc., that will connect you with other people. So if you're out here and you're worried, or you're thinking about coming out here and you're concerned, don't be. It's super easy. So I have done a few different things. I have gone down to Souk Madinat, which is in Jumeirah, had a little look around the souk. I've done a video on that, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. Go and check that one out. I have looked around the Emirates Mall and checked that out. Like I say, I've met up with a few friends and we've gone out for food. I haven't done a lot of the big expensive sites because I figured that once I've got a bit more of a friendship group in the UAE, I'll be able to come back to Dubai and do those then. That doesn't mean to say you can't. I know loads of families and people in the hotel that have, gone over to the Burj Khalifa, that have done the Dubai Mall, that have looked at all sorts of different things. Really, it's up to you what you want to spend your money on and how you want to spend that first week here. And it also depends on your school situation. I know that I still have about a week or so until I'm going to be properly moved into my apartment, so I want to make sure I've got the finances still and not splurge it all on fancy days out until the basics are sorted. So as long as you have a good understanding of your finances and where your money's going, you'll be grand. So there we go, guys. My first week in the UAE as a teacher has been exciting. There have been a few moments where I've been a bit nervous, a bit anxious, a bit apprehensive, but that is very normal of moving to a different country. The great thing is that the school, and I have no doubt if you're in this position, your school will do too, have been nothing but supportive. There have been people in contact throughout the entire process, making sure it's smooth, making sure I'm happy. There's always someone at the end of the phone if you're a bit concerned. And if nothing else, you've got videos like this that can help you with the process. Also, lots of advice is out there. As the days go on, I'm getting more and more excited. I've got things like car rental or potentially buying a car, which I think is actually more affordable in the long term, but in the short term, I'm maybe not. So we'll have to see about that one. Sorting out my apartment, getting it all furnished, and meeting my new colleagues, because while I've met loads of new colleagues in the hotel and I've connected with a few people who are going to be in Dubai and coastal Abu Dhabi, there are going to be so many other members of staff that I am yet to meet, because in most of the schools out here, especially the private schools, which there are mostly private schools, you've got like the sort of early key stages, like reception. You've also got primary, you've got secondary, and in most you've got college or sixth form as well. And they are big schools. So there are lots of people out here that all have very similar intentions. So yeah, it's really been a very easy, very smooth process. And I've done a combination of exploring, enjoying the hotel room, sitting by the pool, and trying my best not to burn, which so far has gone really well. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know there was just me talking to the camera a lot, but I know from experience that videos like this are really helpful for new teachers, either people that are already out here in the UAE and want to know that what they're doing is normal, people that are potentially back at home and they're sort of umming and ahhing about whether or not they should go out and explore the UAE or different countries to teach. And those that are in the process of moving and just a little bit apprehensive. So, sorry that it's been a lot of me chatting and, running my gums. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Like I said at the beginning, if you did, guys, hit the like button. Please consider subscribing. The channel is slowly growing. It's been on the slow burner for a number of years now, but there we go. I'm enjoying putting out content at least. And if you want to know anything in particular, please comment down below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.